So today we're going to be talking about the new landscape. I've called that the new landscape because things are going to be different. We're in the middle of a crisis and it's really scary, all kinds of things going on, but it looks like it's going to end soon, hopefully. So before I go ahead, I'd like to just introduce myself. My name is Gloria Lafont and I own Action Marketing, and my company provides distributors with tailored marketing services that combine traditional and digital with a strategy-first approach. So the goal is to transform their brand and grow their business. Now I do these webinars because I really want to be a resource. One of my goals is to be a resource for the promotional product distributors, because they really helped me out when I was starting back in, I don't know, like 12, 13 years ago when I started in the distributor business. I owned a distributor company for about 8 or 9 years, and I sold it in 2014. And now I work with distributors, and I also do seminars at PPAI. I've done a number of them, and I also I've been part of the board of my regional association. So I'm very involved in the industry. I really, really love it. Now I want to give you a little bit of backstory that I haven't told. I think I've told one time, one group, but it's something that I don't like to remember. But this is very, very much something that what we're seeing today. So it kind of applies. So that's why I want to give you very briefly. But back in the late 80s, 90s, I owned a business with my then husband where we provided services to clients that advertised through the mail. Advertising through the mail was big in those days before the internet. And it was, direct marketing. And we used to receive the pieces that were going to be mailed out, fold them, all kinds of printing material, print the label, sort, and take to the, a mailing house. So we had a handful of clients that were big clients, and I tried to grow the business locally, but they were all very small, and we were not equipped to service small clients. One day, they passed a law where our clients were no longer allowed to advertise in that manner. Needless to say, we had to close our business overnight. I cannot begin to tell you how painful it was. I'm talking about it and my heart is shrinking just thinking about it. It was devastating. I lost everything. I lost my marriage. I didn't lose my children, thank goodness, and I'm very grateful for that. That's actually the most important thing. But lost the house, the marriage, the business, everything, the way, the means to make a living. It was very, very difficult. I went in through a very difficult time in my life where my only goal was to raise my children and provide for them and make sure that they grew into adults that were productive, independent, which I am very proud that they are today. But the point is that what that taught me, there's my children, my family, in my daughter's wedding, my grandchildren. I have 2 on the way. So they're going to be born in the middle of this crisis year. But my point is that the big lesson is that you have to have your eyes open and you have to know, you have to look at what's going on, because back then the internet wasn't around at all. So it's not like today that anything that's being discussed or any laws that are coming, years ahead of time. At that point, I didn't know that, and I didn't want to see it. When my ex-husband started talking about this possibility and that this was happening, I did not want to hear it because I was happy where I was. I was fine. Don't ruin my life, please. My life was good. We were making good living. One of those clients was paying for the entire payroll. We had, I don't know, about 10 people working for us that were full-time and other part-timers. The cars, the lease, the property that we have purchased, the building where we were operating, everything was paid by one single client. That was a very dangerous position to be. So many lessons learned, and with that, I want to say that you have to really go into all this thing with your eyes open, because and see which direction you should go before the whole thing falls flat, you know, in your face. So that's why I'm sharing this with you. I've been there. So quickly, I want to do a quick recap of my last webinar, where we kind of started talking about navigating the crisis. So it's going to be a very quick recap, because this is like a continuation of that, and we're going a little deeper into it. Also, I want to talk about the impact in the industry. How is that going to affect our industry, and the top 3 driving factors that are driving change in our industry besides the coronavirus. I think that is probably the most important thing that we're going to be talking about today, because based on that, we will be crafting a strategy to successfully rebuild your business once this is over, and then outlining your marketing plan for the rest of 2020. So let's just get started with a quick recap of that, navigating the COVID-19 situation recap. So briefly, it's 3 parts. We are going through 3 parts. We're going to have a crisis, then there's going to be an aftermath, and then we're going to have to rebuild. Right now, we're in the middle of the crisis. So all we can do is just hang in there until the crisis is over. I know that some of you are selling. You have people that are actually buying from you, but of course, it's really not business as usual at all. And if that's you, count your blessings, because there are some distributors that have just shut down altogether because they are in the middle of the hot areas, or whatever the reason may be, and they're just closed right now. So if you are selling, be grateful. All this crisis thing, there's not much you can do. I hear people making recommendations on how to go and get sales. And one way of getting sales is getting into the PPE market, and some are doing that. Some others don't want to touch it. Everybody can handle it the way they want. But all of this is for the moment. None of this is permanent. This is not a plan, a long-term plan. This might be a short-term plan. So when this starts to clear up, there's going to be a period of time after that crisis that there's going to be, the economy is going to be down the tubes, and everybody's income is going to be affected. There's no business out there that your income won't be affected in one way, because even if you're open up, working and everything, you're still, the money is not flowing as freely as it was before. It's being held in different places. So right now, the only thing you can do, and I think that this is an attitude that we have to have throughout all this thing, because this is not a good time to be pitching. You are going to be selling by being helpful. Somebody needs to order stuff, and there you are to help them out. But it is not going to be well received if you start pitching, because it is like very thoughtless. I don't know. That's how, if somebody offers you something that you don't want, you're going to be kind of like really bothered, because how dare you? But if somebody offers you something that you really need, you're going to be grateful. So that's kind of what you want to do. So what's going to happen with the aftermath? It's going to be a new beginning. Okay, the sun is out. So what's going to be like the whole situation here? There's going to be an adjustment period. When the whole thing stay-at-home order is lifted, then we're going to have to slowly adjust to how everything is. So there's going to be a recession, but I think there'll be a slow growth, because you can't get any lower. So the only place to go is up. So there's going to be a growth trend. Some businesses are not going to make it. That includes clients that you may have, or potential clients. That includes other distributors, and that includes suppliers. So the whole universe is going to be affected. Some people will retire. Some businesses will reduce employment and look for who they can retire and reduce their pay. I'm talking about the bigger businesses. This is conversations that they're having right now. companies in general, I think they will be holding off on doing any events the rest of this year because there's going to be a lot of caution. That's the way I anticipate. If there are events, then that'll be awesome. But I think it's better to prepare for the worst case scenario, right? So I think there's going to be a lot of this going on. We're going to go out working with masks on. I have to tell you that this to me is so depressing. Even putting that photo on that slide was like, I don't want to do that. But hey, that might be our new normal for a while, right? So we have to adapt. Again, this is a time to be empathetic, to be helpful, and to be nimble. You have to be flexible and adapt to what's going on, because even at this period of time, we're all going to be kind of depressed, but trying to make the best of it and trying to push forward and working. But everybody's going to be on the same boat. Everybody's on the same boat. So it's better to be empathetic with your clients, with everybody, because everybody's going through the same thing. And here I think it's very important to talk to your clients right now while the crisis is going on. Call them up. Call your clients. See how things are shaping up. What plans do they have to get back to work? How do they think things are going to be happening? Because you'll get a lot, it's a good time to do that. They'll appreciate it. They're home. They're not doing anything. Don't be calling them. Well, if you need anything, let me know. Avoid that. Because if they need anything, they will ask you. So you don't want to sound like you called for a pitch, and because it's important to build relationships, and this is a time for that. And the same thing for suppliers. I think that you need to call your suppliers and see how they're doing, see what's happening. Suppliers are in deep waters right now, much worse than distributors, in generally speaking. So during that aftermath, I think that the government is going to try and put in some recovery programs in place. And one of them is going to be focusing on construction. There's going to be a lot of construction in terms of infrastructure. Typically, I've noticed here in the US, when there's a recession, the government starts making roads and bridges, and they start to build the infrastructures as a way to stimulate the economy. Because there is a lot of little companies that feed from that, and that is something that I think is going to be happening. And there'll be other ways, I think, and also service companies will be reshaping while they're growing. A lot of them have had to improvise and hire extra people to kind of meet the demand, and now they'll have to make adjustments and they'll have to reshape things. And also new delivery companies that have appeared, that everything is being delivered to our homes. So I see that kind of taking shape and being a source of business and something that's going to be happening that you want to be aware of. Now, I think that it's very important to know what's going to be the effect on our industry. And I'm one that likes to be informed and see what's happening in the entire world, not just here. So sometimes I get a little crazy with all that. But I think it's important to know what's going on beyond the walls where we are, because there's a lot going on that has an effect on us. So I think that suppliers this is going to impact suppliers financially. So we don't know who's going to survive, who will buy who will go out of business altogether. So that's why I think it's good to call your most appreciated suppliers, and even because they're going to be around afterwards, most likely. So you want to know what their plans are, how they're doing this. Some of them are totally shut, closed down. So they had to lay everybody off. So I think it's good to communicate right now. There's going to be stock issues. Think about it. January is when suppliers start placing orders and receiving orders for the new year, because they have the new year, the Chinese New Year, very close to the beginning of the year. So all the new stuff and everything. So some may have a lot of stock that's not moving right now, and that they might owe because all the returns from events, you know, the cancellations and orders from the canceled events and everything. So that there's probably going to be a lot of extra stock in some kinds of things and shortage in other things. Some other suppliers may wait a little longer. So you would need to know what the situation is with that. Is not going to be the usual. Also, product prices will be affected, because anytime you have a supply-demand conflict, then that affects the prices. Now, the point with this is that you want to educate your clients. You want to talk to your clients so that they're prepared. They will understand. They will understand that this will have the effect that this is having, because they're living it. So it's a good thing to say it ahead of time. You don't want to just present a new quote with very, high prices, or say that we don't have this and we don't have that. You want to kind of talk about that, have that conversation ahead of time. And one way of doing that is by writing content about it. Write an article about that, post it on social media, mention it, talk about it. That's one way of doing it. Besides, of course, your emails to your clients and other media that you may use to send them information. But the point is that you want to have that conversation ahead of time. Then there's the China factor. The China factor, I think you can all agree that we don't know where that's going. But it doesn't look good. So, I don't think that we're going to just stop working and buying stuff from China. That would be impossible. But I do think that you start seeing suppliers post really, really large. This is made in the USA. It's like it's a selling point right now. So we don't know how that's going to evolve. So we have to kind of be on the lookout for that. So there's going to be, I think, supply chain changes. And one thing that I see that I kind of turns on my little light bulbs, the red ones, is that it turns out that we don't really know who the suppliers are. You have this, what's behind them. I'm sure that you have received emails from weird suppliers that you never heard from China, offering you masks and all of these kinds of supplies. I have received those, and I haven't been a distributor for, 5 years already. But I still have those emails active, and I get all these advertisements, and I'm like, how did you get my name? You cannot buy names from distributor names. So who's giving them those names? I don't know. I'm wondering that, are they the same suppliers that are selling us, but they're making the stuff there? So all these questions I'm asking in my head that I think we have to kind of be on the lookout to see how this thing evolves, is what the point that I want to make. So again, this goes back to informing your clients so that when the time comes, you can really actually help them out and sell whatever you need to sell that they need, fit their demand, their needs. Now I want to talk about the 3 drivers of change besides the coronavirus. This is something that I was actually working on before all this. I've been writing about it. I had all the draft mode. I have all this stuff on the pipeline. And then this thing happened. I just put it on the back burner. This was happening before the coronavirus crisis. And now all of these drivers of change are going to be accelerated big time. And you've heard about the big thing that we have is digital transformation. We have been under a digital transformation period. And a transformation is not change. Transformation is when something becomes something else. So right now, everything has changed. And some people were still kind of hooked on their old ways. But with this situation that we have, I think that the old ways, the analog ways, are gone. So we've gone from analog to digital. And I think that that's an undeniable fact. So the 3 factors that come from that transformation are the adoption of technology. We can see it. We can see how people are now ordering stuff online. People that are, a couple of neighbors that I have that are in their 70s, they're food shopping online. Now that's not new. That's been around for a long time. I've never used it. To this day, I haven't used it yet. But it's unbelievable to me that people are just going and ordering online. They're not going out. So yes, we've all heard about Amazon. Amazon has similarities with the promotional product business because they sell products. You also sell products. So hence the comparison. Even though the retail and the business world are totally different, but yes, the Amazon factor is for sure something that shows us how people want to be buying right now. We're buying everything and getting it delivered to our homes. We don't have to go anywhere to get anything. So translated to the promotional product business, we have to make it very easy for people to purchase from us. But I want to give you another example that I find even better, not better, but really good actually, of how the transformation that has affected every aspect of our lives, and how we live and how we function and how we spend our time. Uber totally destroyed the taxi industry, right? It really came in and made a big dent there where they had to change a lot of things. So Uber is something that I don't know who in this group that is here today has never taken an Uber. I am going to take a guess. And I want to say that all of you have at one point or another. Now to order an Uber, you just grab your phone and you have an app on your phone and you say, hey, come pick me up. And they know exactly where you are. You don't have to tell them, they already know. And you call them 5 minutes before, depending on where you are located, 10 to 5 minutes before. If I'm going to the airport, I don't have to call the night before and then wonder if they're going to come get me, which one time they didn't with a taxi. With this, I just have to call when I'm ready to go because they're going to be here very soon. And then you know the car that's coming to pick you up, the name of the driver, the license plate, and you see the car coming and when it's at your door, okay, time for me to walk out. And then you don't even have to have money to pay. There is no money conversation. You just get out, leave, and the whole thing is done. So imagine how easy it is now to take a taxi or to go somewhere, right? That is an example to me that is the epitome of the digital transformation, going from one way of doing things to another. So in the promotional product business, let's talk about the old way and the new way. Back in the day, when this business started, before the internet, people who sold promotional products were representing a supplier, mostly. So they had catalogs, so they worked with a few suppliers. They had their catalogs, and they would go visit their clients and show them the stuff on the catalogs, and that's how they got the stuff ordered. And then the orders would take a long time, of course, because everything was Pony Express. So then that slowly, as technology started changing things around, they started sending it by fax and doing and kind of adapting certain things. But basically, the way that they got clients and they worked has not changed. You know, they do like to do sales calls, what they call sales calls. They go see a client and they bring the stuff, and then they do cold prospecting, or they expect that they're going to do cold prospecting. They like to do networking in person, going to networking events and things like that, which is still a good thing to do, okay? That has not gone out of style, I don't think. And they rely largely on referrals and word of mouth to grow their business. And that's no plan. That is not a good plan. Referrals and word of mouth are very limited. You cannot scale or predict anything doing it that way. So in the old way, as it evolved and people stopped taking your phone calls, you would basically be waiting on your client to call you when they needed something. And this happened, and this had this consequence that I'm going to describe to you. In the last 2-3 years, more and more I've heard distributors that are established, that were very successful at one point, complain how their contact in the company has left, retired, or whatever. And now the new person is a millennial, and this millennial doesn't take the calls, doesn't want to talk to them. And here I am, I have all the art, I know what they have ordered, I know what they do, and this guy that doesn't know what they're doing, instead of calling me and using me, is now not even calling me. So this is a conversation that I've heard many times. But what happens is that if that's you are not connected with this person in social media. You did nothing to get to know this person. You're just saying, hey, I know everything here. And you don't even know that they may have changed everything. They may have changed their marketing. They may have changed their plans, their products, their approach, and you don't know because you never talk to them. You wait for them to call you. I had this happen to me one time when I was a distributor, that I worked with an organization that every year they had a new president. So the new president came in and brought in their own promotional product person. And I had been their promotional product person working with the person in charge, the manager of the office, for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. But here I lost a client and she was very sorry. And she said, I hate this, but there's nothing I can do. So then another client, this happened. The person left and the new one came in, and I decided that I was gonna be very humble instead of being so pretentious that I knew everything, because I tried that approach with this other president. Didn't work. So I was very humble. I said, congratulations in your new position. I wish you the best. I've been working with this company for so long, and I would love to hear your ideas. I'm sure you're bringing in your own new ideas and new plans, and I'd love to help you and discuss with you and help you. And then I would invite them to lunch. So that kind of changed the tables altogether, because here I am, it's like a new client or, a new prospect that has never purchased from me that I have to sell to, okay? Your prospects, when you're prospecting, they don't take your calls. They don't pay attention to you. So the new way, let's talk about the new way. In the new way, your prospect wants to be the one to find you on their own terms, whenever they feel like it, not when you want, but when they want. And your prospect wants to research your company and you, and then decide if they're going to work with you. So if you have nothing on your website that talks about you or the way you do business, and your website looks like a catalog, all that you're going to talk about is products and prices, because there's nothing else, nothing about you. So now let's go on point number 2, which is the demand for new business models. We just saw how Uber, as a change in business model for the transportation and taxi. So let's just look at our industry and see how we can change business models from the sales rep to the specialist. You want to be a specialist, because you know what? Nobody wants to talk to jack of all trades. If you need anything, you want to talk to a specialist, somebody specializes in that. You want to paint your house, you want to call somebody that's a painter. You don't want to call it handyman. You want it well done right. And they're both going to command different prices and they're going to charge differently. So you want to become a specialist on something. For example, trade show marketing, which you probably want to put on hold until things define, but maybe meetings will start happening online. So you want to explore that and see where that's going. That's part of talking to your clients and seeing how you can meet their needs. But for example, trade show marketing, I talked about this in the other webinar as an example, because trade shows are very big, and I really think they'll come back. We like the contact, we like the person to person, we need it and we crave it. So I'd be surprised if that doesn't come back, but I think it will. But generally speaking, I think that there's still opportunity in that market. And let's suppose that you want to specialize on that, then you want to have a website that only talks about trade shows, and maybe you have a guide. Anything that has to do with a trade show, you can be the one that specializes. Same thing for education marketing, healthcare. Now, education, healthcare, trade show, you could even go even down further. Education, you could specialize in elementary school. You could specialize in musical school. You could specialize in several things, 2 or 3 different things. The more you specialize, the better clients you get. So I'll give you an example. Suppose that you are going to sit in front of a university client and you have a typical website that it's a template website that just has products and that's it. they're evaluating you, and there's also somebody else that is pitching the client who has a website, and all they talk about on the website is education and university products and products to attract new students and graduation examples and all things that have to do with universities. Guess who they're going to hire? They're going to hire the other guy. And maybe you know a lot more than the other guy. You have a lot more experience than the other guy, but it doesn't show. You're not showing it. So that's why, that's part of specializing. You have to also show it. You have to demonstrate. We do that with content, and we're going to talk about that a little further down. But so the same thing for education and for healthcare. So look at your clients. What kind of clients do you have? You could also specialize in a particular service, particular industry. That car dealers, I have a client that specializes in car dealers, and that's all he does. And as far as expanding on that, he is now partnering with someone that has a service, an online advertising service. So he's selling the online advertising, which he gets a commission for, and offering that to his clients, and also offering all kinds of different promotional products and things and supplies that the car dealers usually buy. So that's what I'm talking about, becoming a specialist. He is a specialist now because he offers more than just the products. This is something that could be very lucrative. So it's like looking at your business in a different way. Now, one big thing that I think has a lot of potential is direct mail. It's prospecting by sending things in the mail. You are a specialist on this already. You could become somebody that offers a turnkey solution. And if you're interested, I have this book. I'm going to put it on when I post the reply, I'll send it. It's Giftology, Giftology. And it's the art and science of using gifts to cut through the noise, increase referrals, and strengthen client retention. So this is written by a guy who his business is to do lead generation by sending gifts. So he sells packages that are $5,000 and $10,000. So I recommend you read this book because it's an eye opener. They're not promotional products and not branding gifts, but I'm sure it will give you an idea of how you could provide a service like that. There is a lot of demand for service like that. I know that for a fact, because the new generations that are coming, the millennials and the Gen Zs, they don't know anything about promotional products and traditional marketing pieces, non-digital pieces, and they're eager to learn. So if you come over here and you kind of handle it for them, tremendous opportunity. So the point is not to just be selling products and that's it. And even though you're selling products, but you want to position yourself as a consultant for products for a particular industry and service. Okay, so the next point, we already saw, number one, the adoption of technology. Number two, demand for new business models. And now we're going to talk about the value of customer experience that is very, very big and growing. You've heard that. And going back to Uber. How easy is it to go from one place to another taking an Uber? You can count on that. The whole thing, from the time that you order it to the time you get to where you're going, it's easy, unless of course there are exceptions. I'm not going to say that it's perfect every time, but I hope that you get what I'm trying to say. Much better than a taxi. You call them and you have to wait till they come, and they don't come. The meter is running. So you want to be more like Uber. Now, a lot of people think that customer experience is about providing good service. Now, it's not exactly that. Service is what you do, and experience is how you do it. So it's not the same thing. So you want to look at, see what gaps exist in your process right now. This time that in a way is a weird time and is a downtime. Go through your process. What gaps do you see? What could you improve to make Make it easier for your client to satisfy your client more. You want to be more like Amazon. And here, I think that this is a great example. If you could be like Amazon, not as far as the order where people order and they never talk to you. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the customer experience. I'm talking about things that you could do. You could send an order status email. You could say, okay, every Monday I'm sending an email to all the clients that have orders in-house with the status. You can automate that. It's not hard to do. You can use e-signature approvals, you know, the art, the order confirmation, all of that. Use an e-signature method to have them approve, and you have the approval in writing. You could also automate that. Send a confirmation of the products that have been delivered. This is how many boxes you should have received. It shows here it's been delivered. Please make sure you got that. You don't want your client to call you 2 weeks later that they don't find the packages. You want that to be resolved right away. This is not hard to do either. Also, automate as much as you can your order processing when you're submitting your orders to your suppliers. Have templates of purchase orders with all the additional information that you want. Communicate by email. Know who your rep is, who the person, the customer service person is. Treat that person well. Thank them, appreciate them, so that they'll really feel good about working with you. And send all of the information that needs to go on the purchase order, send it complete. No, don't make any assumptions. If you want a proof, ask for the proof. If you don't want a proof, then that is not necessary. If you want whatever it is that you want, all of it has to be on the purchase order, and you can automate. You don't have to write it every time. So if you don't have that in place right now, work on it and get it done. Then you want to send to your clients, you want to send them reorder reminders. I like clients that buy what I call consumables, which is, for example, pens is one that is a consumable because they run out of pens. So you want to order more? You order this much and you have the order ready. Just click here and reorder. This is what the price is. These are the price breaks. You could save some money if you order more, something like that. 80% of the times you will make a sale just because you sent that email. You could also automate that. And also, ideally, if you could have a client portal where they can log in and see their orders. I know that part is not as easy right now. It would really take an investment of time and money to do it. You want to go in that direction. Those who will provide that, people who are selling online already provide that. People can go in and see their orders and reorder. So you want to also do that. Your clients want more access to things and be able to look at stuff, and you want to give it to them. Now, I'm going to say that we provide services both for distributors that have an agency type of model and also to e-commerce, an e-commerce model. And I'm going to say that with the e-commerce model, 50% of the orders are done directly online. The other 50%, people send a contact form asking for information or a quote or something. So that's the reality of the business. Not everybody wants to go and order online and be done. And the reason it makes sense because this is you're selling customized products, and many times the buyer is not the owner of the business, and they want to make sure they don't mess it up, you know, so they want to ask questions. I found that was pretty interesting that not every single order comes in online. That's been my experience anyway. So let's talk about your business strategy to rebuild your business, because once we get out of this and things open up again, then you have to kind of be nimble to adapt and see where things are going, where the business is going, where the industries, different industries that you serve, your locality, all of those things. So the first thing to do is improve your technology adoption. if you are not working and operating from the cloud and you still have stuff on your computer, it is a must that you go online. It is just not practical, and you cannot wait any longer to move your programs that live in your computer and to go online. And it's painful, but it has to be done. So the sooner the better. Otherwise, you're just gonna fall behind. You're not gonna be able to keep up with your clients, with your orders, with anything, because you're trying to, you know, kind of have workarounds to be able to circumvent a smooth process. Also, your business model, think about that. Maybe you've been thinking about it for a while. So this is time to implement. Now, none of these things can be done overnight. I realize that, and you should realize that too, but start thinking in those terms and start taking the steps in that direction. And then the customer experience, which is very important. Work, you know, how can you improve? What gaps do you have in your business that you could fix? Now, your marketing plan outline, you need to up your game, and much of that is digital. If nobody can find you online, you're doomed. If you're not showing up on Google when people are searching for the products you sell or that you want to sell, ideal clients are looking. When they're looking and they don't find you, you have no chance, because now people like to go online and look for things. They don't like to be called, interrupted. It's just a fact. So you want to work on your website, your SEO, your differentiation. A lot of you on this call probably already are, so don't drop that. This is not a good time to drop that. Most distributors are not. So if you are steps ahead, many steps ahead. But this is something that is an ongoing work that you have to be doing, because things change and evolve. One thing that you must do is separate your brand, define your voice, be yourself. You know, all of this situation that we have right now, where you have to be at home, and many of your clients might be home and they're having meetings, and the children are running around, the cat is jumping on the desk. My cat is sleeping right now, thank goodness. All of a sudden, we're all human and we have lives, and work is part of our life right now. And it's okay. It's okay to have children. It's okay to be home and be working. I think that that's wonderful, because it's something that it's going to really make it much easier for you to be yourself. And if you have a website and you don't even have one photo of yourself on the website, and there's nothing about you, believe me, you're out of the game very fast. So you want to differentiate. In this industry, this is the templates abound. You know, you have all of the providers of marketing services in the industry offer you a template of their own. Template websites, template posts, template newsletters. So everybody gets the same thing, only they have the logo on it, and they can choose amongst 5 or 6 different stock photos. Which one do you like? And so in the end of the day, that is not going to differentiate you. I have to say, it really gives me, it makes my hair stand when I see, I follow a lot of distributors on social media, and especially on Instagram, which is more obvious, to see the same post come up with a different logo. I'm like, why? That doesn't work. That's doing nothing for your business. You may think and may feel good that you're doing something, but that's not the way it's done. So you really need to work on your differentiation, on being yourself, on having your own voice on your brand, having your own point of view on the things and how they should be done. And if you've been in business for a while, you do have your point of view, you do have your own voice. Now it needs to be translated into your materials online. The way to do that is by producing content. That's it. Now, producing content is not subscribing to a content service that automatically posts some random stuff on there, okay? That doesn't work either, because the content is the piece that communicates and is a bridge between you and your ideal customer. So you have to talk about things that your customer wants to know, not about random stuff. You know, I've seen posts on distributor sites that talk about networking. Oh, networking tips. Why would you be giving networking tips? Especially now with the coronavirus. That's not your place to do that. So as an exercise, immediate exercise, changing your messaging on your website right now and on your social media to kind of address the issue, to show empathy. All of this is very dynamic. When this whole thing started, we used a system to post on for our clients, the social media posts, which are each tailored to their business. But we do that in advance so we have it ready. And we had to stop everything and review because otherwise we were going to be totally tone deaf. And that's the last thing you want to do. The last thing you want to do is sound like you're in another world, you know? As a first exercise, go on your website and talk about it. Say, you know, these are hard times and we're helping our clients in such and such a way. We're open for business. We're not open at this time. Whatever it is that you have to say, but address it. Be part of the real world. Your website is your place of business. So your place of business has to reflect what's going on in your business. So that is extremely important. The content you're producing that has to talk to your clients, speak to your clients. What do they want to know? Think about the things that they ask, and those are the things that you have to write about. Write articles. You can do a quick videos where you talk about that. You can do a slideshow. You can do designs and infographic. In other words, the same piece of content presented in different ways. But that's kind of what the difference between the content that works and it doesn't. And then the content has to be optimized. You have to know what people are searching for, and then put those keywords and key terms into your content so that Google recognizes that when people are searching. That is critical. So there is a science behind this whole thing. So that's what is going to help you differentiate your business. So it is time to make changes. It is time to make changes for all of us. Every single one of us need to sit here and say, okay, I started the year with a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm, and then I had to just change direction altogether. So it is time for that. And I personally love change. I know there are people that don't do well on that, but if you don't, you're gonna have to do it. Just embrace it and have fun with it. It's like something brand new. You can do anything. A blank canvas, you can do anything. And for most of you, it's not a blank canvas. You have a business. It just needs to be rebuilt and restructured, reshaped. And at this point, the thing to do is to focus on those things you can control. The news can drive you crazy. And as I mentioned before, I have family in Europe. I have friends in South America. I have friends and family in other parts of the country. So I'm following the news everywhere I have people. It's crazy. So, but you know, I try to limit that because it can really take you down a rabbit hole that it's just not good for your health. And then do healthy things, you know, try to eat right, try to exercise a little bit every day, go for a walk, breathe some fresh air. Most importantly, limit the news. It's so easy on social media. You're on social media and you're in the news. It's crazy. So I'm guilty of that, totally guilty of that. And I put it here so that I listen to myself and try and do it. So now at this time where there's not much we can do to be pitching or making big plans, because you cannot make big plans at this time. Your plan has to be subject to being flexible, has to be very flexible. So depending on the direction that you go. Now, yes, things like optimizing your website, creating content, defining your brand, you can work on that, totally. Start working on it. So when things come back, then you're already on your way. And I really love this quote by Abraham Lincoln. I actually have that posted on my wall. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening my axe. You're going to have to chop down a big tree. A big tree is ahead. We want to be very prepared, and we want to have a very sharp axe. So with that, thank you so much. Stay safe. Let's pray that this thing goes away quick.